Back on SportsBit, betting insight today. Time for Big Game Breakdown. Always sponsored and powered by Bet Online. Check out the bonus page, sportsbookreview.com, for the latest and best offers to open a new account today. Giants are 3, -120 at home. There's some 3.5s out there, 42 the total. The line's going to move on whatever happens with Beckham. McAdoo, quote, he responded well to treatment, responded well to his work on Thursday, got a little bit more today, but he's still limited. They need him. You saw what happened Sunday against Dallas. And the problem is they can't run the ball. I mean, you bring in Brandon Marshall. You have Ingram, who they selected the tight end out of Ole Miss. But between the offensive line and the running backs, they can't establish a running game, and it certainly hurts Eli.
No, yeah, no question. I mean, when you talk about how the Giants' offense is supposed to work, OBJ is supposed to stretch the field. That's supposed to open things up for the running game and some of the underneath throws for Eli Manning. Without OBJ, obviously that doesn't work. And when you have a running back core, what they have, Perkins and Darkwa, 10 carries for 30 yards against Dallas. That is arguably the weakest RB core in the NFL. There's no other speed burners at wide receiver without Beckham. That leaves an offense with relatively few options. I'm talking about a team that got 3 points and 13 first downs against Dallas. But, this is a defense that was number 2 in the NFL last year. They held up despite being on the field for most of the night at Dallas. Cowboys, 71 snaps, but only managed 1 touchdown in that ballgame.
Okay, what do you think about this Giants offense? You have an interesting theory of something you want to point out about the offenses that stunk in week 1. How'd they do in week 2?
Sure. I mean, one of the things we spend a lot of time with on SportsBit, how good are the offensive lines? And the mainstream media is going to talk about skill position talent and fantasy and all that. We want to know who's going to win the battle in the trenches. And when you look at week 1 and the offenses that didn't work, they were all because of offensive line problems. San Francisco, Seattle, Indy, Cincinnati, Houston, along with the Jets and Giants. None of them put up more than a single touchdown on the scoreboard in week 1. And guess what? None of those offenses worked in week 2 either. The defense that shut down the G-men, they got torched for 6 touchdowns yesterday. New York, what are we going to call Eli Manning? Mediocre? Let's call him a mediocre quarterback. They have an offensive line that ranks among the weaker ones in the NFL. They have a banged-up receiving core, whether OBJ plays or not. And, oh, by the way, this offense has gotten statistically weaker every year since McAdoo became the offense coordinator, and it's gotten even weaker since he became the head coach. So I've got my concerns about the Giants' offense suddenly flipping the on switch. I don't know what's going to happen this week. I don't know what's going to happen in 2017. I wouldn't anticipate it happening tonight.
Well, they can get right against this Lions defense. Terrible. Dead last on Football Outsiders rankings last year. Decent numbers against Arizona, although that was against Carson Palmer, and Johnson left with an injury, and Palmer was terrible in that one. Remember, they couldn't force any turnovers. Just horrible numbers last year with Detroit on defense. And here's the game. This is where Matthew Stafford lays an egg usually. In this spot last year, they couldn't do anything, and they lost on the road against the Giants. If the Giants are a playoff team, and we think they are, he'll lose this game because he has 1 win in his career on the road against a team that finished the season with a winning record. He played well last week against Arizona, but again, no running game to speak of. Abdullah, 15 carries for 30 yards in the win.
The one thing the Lions did do in week 1, obviously Stafford got going. I was impressed with how the defense stepped up in the second half of that ballgame. And there's a lot of hope for the rookie linebacker, Jarrad Davis. He had 9 tackles and a fumble recovery against Arizona. Remember, the entire linebacking core for the entire season in 2016, they didn't have a sack, they didn't have a fumble recovery, they didn't have an interception. So the fact that Davis recovered a fumble in week 1 is something that the Lions couldn't do defensively a season ago. Defense coordinator Terrell Austin, quote, talking about Jarrad Davis. I thought he was outstanding for a young guy. Really flew around. Physical. Really, he makes a difference in our defense in terms of our temperament and how we go. And that's something that your middle linebacker should do because he's really, at the end of the day, he's the quarterback of your defense. He stands in front of our guys. He calls the defenses, no hesitation. They've got a rookie calling defenses and calling their plays in the huddle, and it's working. At least it did in week 1. But so we talked about all the offenses that didn't work in week 1, and none of them really worked in week 2. Let's talk about the decent teams, because basically every decent team off of week 1 lost 1 in week 2. The Titans won, the Patriots won, the Cardinals won, the Redskins won, the Seabags won. The Chargers kicker cost them 2 games. It's not their fault. But other than that, the 0-2 teams pretty much the teams that are supposed to be 0-2. The Jets, the Bills, the Niners, the Browns, the Bengals, the Colts, the Saints, the Bears. Do the Giants belong on that list? I don't think they do. But, so it's a dilemma here. You have an offense that didn't work in week one, and none of the offenses that didn't work in week one worked in week two. And you have all the good teams found a way to win week two. I don't think the Giants are bottom feeders in that regard. I don't think they deserve to be ranked with the Bears and the Browns and the Bengals and the Jets.
Hey guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.